Hello, this is Charlene Mosier from Sound Sewing, Silverdale, Washington, and the PFAFF Creative Sewing Center, Lacey, Washington. What I'm going to do today in our Premier+2 software is work on our lettering tab. We get a lot of questions about fonts and how many alphabets we have, and do I have more alphabets available than what's in the software. So I'm going to try to answer all these today. So right up here, when I open my Premier+2 software, I have a tab called Lettering. Go ahead and we would click on that. And in the Lettering tab, I can actually pull down my font menu. And inside my font menu, there are more than 210 fonts at your fingertips up here. Really good selection in here. So we have things like applique, which is very at the beginning, and children and special effects and all sorts of things. You even have a category called My Fonts, and in that category you can make your own fonts, and that's where you can save them so you can find them. So as I scroll down here, you can see that there is a lot. If you are running Premier+2 software, you find that you do not have all these fonts because a lot of them are disactivated. Again, that just means that you're not running the Premier+2 Ultra software. And so by upgrading your software will allow you to open up those particular fonts that may be grayed out. The other thing we're going to do is look at how these are set up. So like I said a moment ago, they have categories. There are 19 total categories, including the My Font category. And you will see a category listed up on the top left, and every font that falls in that category will fall below it. So if I was to come up and find my font that I want to find, they have one in here that is called Cheese and Mice. I just love this font. It's really cute. So I'm going to click on the Cheese and Mice, and Cheese and Mice right up here, it tells us a little bit about it. So I'm just located right up here. The name of the font is called Cheese and Mice. Then it says 2C UC 40 to 100 millimeters. So what that means is, again, the font name is called Cheese and Mice. 2C means it's two colors in this font. So this font has two color changes. And then UC actually means that it is an uppercase only. And then the 40 to 100 is saying the size recommendations for this font. So as small as 40 millimeters and as high as 100 millimeters. So if I was just to come in here and type A, B, C, and right now I have typed them in lowercase right in this field here. Because this is a uppercase only font, the Premier+2 software will automatically change those lower cases that I have just typed in and make them into uppercase for me. So I'm going to come over, and the next thing is right here, the size. It comes up at 40. Anytime you select a font, it always comes up at the smallest size available for that font. You can go outside the font recommendations. It just keep in mind that they don't guarantee the integrity of the stitching at that point. So they do guarantee it in the 40 to 100 millimeters, but if you go outside it, it may not be as crisp or clean as it should be. I have gone outside it. I will say I have not gone extremely outside it, but I have gone outside it and have been okay. So for today's purposes, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. I want it to be 70 millimeters just so we can see it a little bit better. And then I want it just to be a standard straight across shape, just like a normal letterbox. And I'm going to go clear over here to the right and click Apply. And here it is. Isn't it cute? So it's supposed to be a holy cheese font, and I just love it. But there's supposed to be mice that go with it, and they show the mice here. Now to activate the mice, it is using your number keypad. 1 through 0 will actually give you a mouse for every number. But how do I know which one am I getting? Well, if we come down here to the very bottom of our screen where our Windows Explorer is open, because it opens up when we went into the software, we'll get to that beginning screen we got when we first launched our software. And we're going to go in here to Guides. In the guides, we have references, samples, and user. We're going to go into samples. And then here we can see that one of the sample guides that we have is fonts and frames. So we're going to click on that. And now these are PDF samples of every font and frame and super design that's inside your software. So we want the fonts because that's where we're at today. So I'm going to double click on that. And it will launch a PDF file. So when you upgrade your software, you'll find a lot of times that the documents want to upgrade. And some people don't want to take the time to upgrade the documents. You really do, because these are the forms that are upgrading, and they are showing you all the changes that they have made. So if they've added in letters and fonts, or if they added super designs or more frames and decoration, you really want to get those into your document. So don't skip that part. As I scroll down here, I can see that they are showing me every font that's inside this by category. So it started with the appliques, and as I come down, I will get into, eventually I'll get to children. Here's children right here. And right here is the cheese and mice. So what they do is they will show you the font, and they will give it to you as if you had typed it out. So a good example will be over here where we're on this font here right next to it. Is they gave us a sample of what it would be if they spelt something out, as well as a sample of what each of the letters would be, and then another sample at the bottom. But the sample up here is the name of the font as well, but it's always in the font type. Down here though, I can see my mice, and these are from number 1 starting here, 2, 3, 4, all the way to number 0, how they go across on your top keypad. So I can see that I probably would like to use the number 3. He's the one that's climbing. The number 5, he's the one kind of peeking through behind the letter. And then maybe I think I like a number 0 because that one he can lay on top. Okay, so you can go ahead and print these out. I do want to point out at this time in my software, there are 59 pages. I do believe that there was an upgrade that just came out, and I have not upgraded to that on my Premier+2 yet. So if your number is higher, that's just because I haven't upgraded yet. Again, it just came out. But if you're less than 59 pages, you definitely do need to run your upgrades and get those documents upgraded. All right, so I'm going to quick launch back into my software here. So that's right down here on the P+, down on the bottom of my keyboard, and I am back into my software. So I had said a moment ago that I wanted to have number 3, the climbing one, number 5, the peek around one, and number 0, which is the one that's going to lay on top. So I have typed up here 350 basically. Now I want to make sure these come in as individual, okay? Because when I typed the ABC, they came in as all one unit because I just allowed it to. If I come over here, I am going to make sure this is individual so that I get them separate. The other thing I want to point out is I used the font at 70 a moment ago. It is remembering that, and that's a good thing because you do want the mice to be considered the same size as the alphabet. So how the alphabet sets up its sizes is whatever number you have here will determine what the capital A size will be. So 70 would be what the capital A would be, and then everything will fall into place proportionately to what the capital A of that font is. And that's true of any font. That's true if you're in Word or Publisher or whatever you use to type. Anytime you choose a font size, it's always based off the capital A. So again, I did do individual, and now I'm going to come all the way over here and click Apply. Now you'll see that these come in with orange handles. So the orange handles are basically telling me that these are grouped. Because I did do them individually, I can see little shades of boxes back here. Excuse me. But if you notice, my lines between my orange handles are broken. They're dash lines instead of a solid line. That means if I click off and click back on, now they are independent. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do to make these just a little bit easier to see is I want to change the color of the mice, because the color of the mouse is really close to the color, if not the same, as the font. So I want you to be able to see this better on my screen. So with my first mouse here selected, I'm going to come over to my color change here, and I'm just going to double click on the very first color change. It's going to come up and it's going to tell me that this one is a Sulky Rayon Ultra 35. I could change it to whatever color I want. It doesn't matter because when I go to thread my machine, I'm going to put in the color I want anyhow. But again, I'm changing these so you can see these better. So I'm just going to click on this one, and double click on the color. And again, I'm just picking the same color all the way across, which is 3001. And it's just for purposes for you guys to be able to see. And then we click on the third mouse here, double click on color one last time. And again, I'm going to pick that same color in my color spectrum so you can see. Okay, so with these selected, I'm actually going to move them. So I want to move them just out of my way real quick. So I'm going to hold down my control key and I'm going to select each one of these again. And by holding down my control key, it allowed me to lock these in and move them. And then I'm going to bring this one down a little bit so you can see it better. Okay, so I'm going to go grab this very first one here, this mouse, and I can have him come and just place him just right so he looks like he's trying to climb. Then I'm going to grab my other one here and put him directly next to him so it looks like he's coming around. Are these fun? I just love this font. And then he is going to be kind of sleeping up here. And there you go. That's my Cheese and Mice font. So the next thing I would do is I would actually save this. So I would come up and do a file, save as. I always do the file save as so I can get the VP4 format. That way, if I go to embroider it out and I want to move one of the mice, I have not combined and color sorted and all that yet. It will save this working format so I can come in and make changes. And then once I am very happy with him, I will then just delete the VP4s if I feel I'm never going to use them again. So I'm going to make a new folder. So I'm in my designs. I'm going to make a new folder right here. And I'm going to call it Internet, just so I can keep track of the ones I'm doing for you guys. And then I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to call this one Cheese and Mice. Okay. And you can see here, he is saving as a VP4. That is the only format you can save him as right now because I'm playing with him. So I'm just going to save him. Now, if I want to be able to send him to my machine and get ready to embroider him out and have fun, I will go back to File and do Export. You do have up here on the top left, I just want to point out, you do have the save as and the save and the export, but I just am in the habit of going to the file and going to them. So either way, more ways than one to do things. So now it's going to come up as my file format of VP3 because it remembers that's what I like. If I do want to change this, let's say I'm doing this for a friend of mine and maybe they don't have the same machine as me, but they embroider as well, is if I do the down arrow, I can go find their format in here and do it. Just make sure that you are keeping, some formats are locked in sizes and color change allowances, so just make sure you're staying within their guidelines and your friend should be able to help you with that if you're making it for somebody else. So right here I'm going to do my combined, I'm going to I'm going to actually take out the remove overlap. You can do the remove overlap, so anywhere I have put a mouse, the cheese behind it would disappear. I just want it to look like it's truly on top, and so I rather have it stitch out the ABC and then put the mice on top of it so the mice actually do look a little bit more forward. You gotta be careful with this. If you get too much stuff piled up, you will actually be, you could shear your thread a lot. You could even break needles if they're stacked on too much, but this is not that heavy, so I'm going to be okay by telling it not to remove the overlap. I do want to do a color sort because for each letter I have 2 colors and for each mouse I have 2 colors. So that means I have 12 colors on here right now and I want to get down to 4. Okay, so 2 for the mice, 2 for the alphabet. And I do want to optimize my stitches. This allows me that I didn't really edit anything. Actually, I didn't edit anything. But I do want to, if something's happened with me moving it around and it made something kind of funky, I want it to take care of it, basically. Okay, so now I'm going to say OK, and it is going to come up and it's going to say Cheese and Mice exported. It did not default to my Internet folder because I have not used it in an export yet. Now that will change now that I'm opening up my Internet folder. Now you don't see my other one in here, and the reason why is a different format. So you're not going to see a VP4 while you're saving the VP3. So I'm going to go now Export, and now I made a copy of this and made it a VP3, and it is exported and sitting out in my internet folder. So that's important to know too, that this has not become the exported file, because this one is still broken apart and still in its different elements. The other thing I want to point out is, let's say you want to play with this mouse here. I can't select him. And the reason why I can't select him is he's inside the boundaries of the ABC. I could select these other two mice because I could click outside the ABC and get them, but I can't get him. So there's a couple ways you can do that. You can actually go to your Home tab here, and I have right up here where I could go Next and see how I selected him there. I actually got him one Next, or I could do Previous. You could also use the Tab button on your keyboard, and the tab will allow you to scroll through forward, or if you do the Shift tab, it'll allow you to go backwards. All right, so we're going to end this part here. I will have another part for your fonts, and what we're going to do is how to search your fonts, and also how to make your own font. So visit my next lettering font class. I'll be part 2. I'll be sure to name this one part 1, and I'll see you next time.